All right, this is the DAO call for January 24th, 2004. And I guess, yeah,
All right, let's kick it off.
we can review what Lawrence talked a lot about, basically how we really need the V2, because a lot of things are writing on it. I remember, Rochelle, you mentioned that, like, and this also like makes me understand why the qualifications need to be replaced, because apparently like there's like a limit, right? That's very small per batch.
Yeah, right now we have a batch limit of 300 tasks total. So, say I wanted to put a batch up, that had 600 tasks, can't do it. I could do 300 tasks with one iteration, or I could turn it into 150 tasks with 2 workers per task, just to keep that 300 limit. So it's quite hard to work on large data sets with that 300 at a time limit.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's one of the issues of the issues, right? I think right now, and we really need V2, so it's good that Lawrence was here to also explain the like some of the requirements why we need it. But I think right now the current effect force just doesn't really work well for a lot of campaign types, and it really restricts us in doing proper data sets right now. So I think V2 is sort of is becoming really a requirement even to create proper data sets. And yeah, it's very important we get it out soon to be able to do proper work, reliable work again on the platform.
How's that
Just
going?
a side note. Yeah, I'll like I can give a quick update as well on the progress. I've been on a holiday for the last for a good part of the last 2 weeks, so I haven't been too much active in the development, and we do have a shortage right now of developers. I've been working on that part though, so there is a new developer that will start on the team next week, and hopefully another one as well. That will probably be the week after, because we really lack development power right now, and yeah, when I'm not here, there's not a lot of people that can do some of the programming work required for the last for yeah basically this last stage of releasing V2, including the templates and stuff. So it's yeah, we didn't make much progress since the last 2 weeks on the tech side, but the good part is that we're like nearly there to release the basic system. And I've been thinking a lot these last 2 weeks and writing a lot of things down and architecting a lot about what V2 will look like and basically the scope of what it can be, because I think there's a lot of things missing right now in our platform that can really make our project grow and fit the current market that's forming currently in the AI sector. So I think what's coming out like really soon as a V2 release will be like a really big improvement to the current platform. So it means we have like infinite repetitions, like way faster loading of the platform. Like it will properly work. We can just do big data sets annotated by many workers without getting any errors or issues or performance issues that we've been having before. So that's like I think the monumental release. But next to that, I really it's important we start I think looking ahead, because the landscape is changing so quickly in first of all in the blockchain space, but then also in the AI space. And like if you just look at what happened over the last year, there's so much movement and so much like development happening. And I think that data right now is still is the most valuable resource out there. Like data is, in my opinion, it's like the most valuable resource, and especially now when there's so much AI happening. So I've been like because first of all, you need strong data to train AI, and second of all, there's like so much data being generated by AI that's being then consumed by AI, which kind of works as an echo chamber, which means that like it's just a risky place where there's that like human data gets scarcer and scarcer, right? Which this is a problem that's really happening right now, and if we can provide that purely human data element, I think is one of the most valuable resources right now that we can offer in this market. So I really think that like looking at what we offer now, we should also start thinking about how can we make data sets like a primary citizen on Effect Network and to add features that will make sense in this new market. So I think when it comes to V2, we have like a to-do list and a roadmap on what should be coming out basically as soon as possible to make the platform work. But I think we should be openly discussing, and I would love to put my ideas on paper and share with everyone what the future looks like and what sort of the bigger scope of V2 could be. That also gets people excited, but that just makes sense looking further ahead. Because I feel there's a great opportunity to take some steps and make that work better. And there's many factors at play. So I think we should also consider currently that our token is like there is no exchange that currently list EFX. It's quite a problem. I think also the ecosystem we're in kind of makes it hard right now, as there is just not much traction in the EOS side.
Yeah.
That it's getting hard to get the token attractive. Like even exchanges are not really interested to interact or to list a token if there's no traction. So like being in the EOS ecosystem is a massive hurdle right now as well for EFX in order to gain traction. So even if we would put like the perfect platform in place, update our tokenomics and update like how I see it is that we publish a V2 white paper that's completely updated and reflects the current industry. And that's basically something I've been working on. But even if all that fits into place, I think we will be like hindered by the current ecosystem when it comes to our token. But these are just all kinds of things that are currently, I think, really relevant to discuss and talk about. And I think we should somehow as a community, come to this improved version that will really be the future of Effect Network. And I think that should be the V2 scope. Like I think we should make it broader and bigger, and it should include a bigger vision and a lot of writing and like working groups to put that together. So I'm making like two kind of distinctions, like the V2 version that's coming out imminently, like any moment. It will basically be a heavily improved version of our current system that can create proper data sets at scale. And then I think we should directly shift our attentions to like the future in building out the larger, like the network that's really going to power the data that's required for the current industry and what people are working on. So that was a bit of a longer story, but I hope it makes sense, DJ. Wonder what you think about the whole thought process.
Yeah, well, for starters, it'll definitely be nice to have it all written out because we are kind of lacking in that department. But yeah, like it's interesting that you mentioned ecosystem, and I agree that. But I wonder, is it because you believe there's just EOS is generally just unpopular, or is it because EOS doesn't provide what you need?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that's a great question. No, I'm personally like I'm really happy with EOS. I think it's an amazing platform. Like I'm on a technology level and even on a community level, I think it's pretty. It works really well. I love the account abstraction system. I think the resource system is done really well, which like not for newcomers, but for dev creators right now. Like in the V2 version of the new effect, the resource system can be used in such a way that users will not need to have blockchain knowledge to use it, which I really like. Um, so it's definitely, I think, superior to many other ecosystems to build in. Um, I couldn't basically think of a better technical place to build out apps like Effect Network does. Although right now one of the main conveniences of EOS is that there's just very little usage of the network, so transactions are really cheap, and there is like nothing to. There is little competition for resources, right? So they have it sort of easy because when the network is strained, there were some issues sometimes popping up that we don't see right now. But yeah, those are not there. I think the main issue with EOS right now that I see is that there is just like no developers are working on it, but like when it comes to the token and the DeFi ecosystem, there is just not much happening compared to other places. Like no one is going to trade on Defibox. It's not even listed on any explorers or any Coinmarketcap overview pages, and it's not even open source, which for me is like a kind of a really big pain point because I don't like using systems with high TFLs, and like relying, putting a lot of funds in a system that's not open source and that's doing frequent updates to their smart contracts. Um, and there is no alternative either. Like I think the DeFi side of EOS is now working, and there is just no outside interest into this ecosystem right now. So I noticed, for example, looking at exchanges that might list EFX, it's just extremely hard because there is like no one has interest in this side of the ecosystem. That's one of the things that's really like apparent.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably because the EFX would have to, the programming would have to be, specific, tailored to EOS. And generally, I remember when EFX was listed on KuCoin long ago, it was right after they listed the USDT on EOS. I think they felt like they might as well add it. Uh, so, but yeah, that like great. But that makes me wonder. In the last DAO call, Lawrence also speculated uh, about potential avenues in which Nosana and EFX could work together. For example, such as Whisper, where the annotations of video speech aren't perfect and human workers could improve that. But I wonder if any such thing would require like a bridge or something like that.
Yeah, a bridge would be useful. I don't think there is a bridge that does EOS to like. There's not many bridges that support EOS, but like we might be able to do something like that. I don't think we need like to collaborate with Solana projects or to collaborate with Nosana. I think it makes a lot of sense as there's a lot of data being like used and produced on the Nosana network, and there's definitely a big potential for a partnership where that's being processed. For example, Whisper jobs that do podcasts or something. Those should all be checked and verified afterwards. So that's definitely possible with or without a bridge. But it does help to be on a similar chain where there is a lot of projects processing data, like Hive Mapper, for example, is on Solana, right? And they're doing like a really relevant sort of thing where they're annotating a lot of data on the Solana chain. And we've had many calls with them before, but one of the issues was that like there's a gap between EOS and Solana, so there's not an easy way to bridge that right now. But yeah, the partnerships and collaborations are also not the greatest within EOS at the moment. And it might change, right? I do believe that EOS and the current and the people involved with EOS are great. The technology is good. It's mainly some traction that you might be missing there. It's also the chain that we are building on right now. So this V2 release will be like, EOS is the chain we're building on, and it's what we're using. But I think it's worthwhile to consider benefits of either bridging or coexisting on other platforms. I think Binance Smart Chain, where we're currently on, is not the right fit for us right now. Like, we're not getting much there, and I don't think there is a lot of traction going in that direction, except maybe trading wise. So yeah, I just thought it's worthwhile to discuss it, and I think it should be an open discussion. Like, if we as a DAO decide there is opportunity in different ecosystems, I think we should be able to discuss and see what fits well for the project with all
Well,
these
what are
different
you
elements that are.
suggesting by, I guess, different ecosystems? Like, I kind of assume that they would be connected. Are you suggesting they could be kind of like two independent areas of VFX?
I don't really think, looking back at things, I don't really think the having a token on another ecosystem has a lot of benefit except for liquidity. I think we tried, right, with Binance Smart Chain, and there is a lot of benefit there on the trading side, especially as we don't have KuCoin listing EFX anymore. So my thoughts are that it doesn't. I'm doubting if the Binance Smart Chain bridge, for example, is getting much benefit right now. I think bridging to Solana might be like a way more beneficial element for effect. Like, there could be way more benefit there. Just like I said, Nosana is there, Hive Mapper is there, but also the DeFi ecosystem there is very big. Like, in a way that you view that currently what's being traded on Solana is in happens in such quantities that you don't really need a centralized exchange listing anymore, because the DeFi exchanges there are just very have huge volume and they have very sophisticated tooling around it. So that those are just thoughts floating around, right? I think I am definitely right now committed to EOS, and that's why we're building our V2. So in no way I'm suggesting that we're moving or something, but I just wanted to float this idea around and see what everyone in the DAO thinks about it. Because
Well, I think
it's
from what I remember, I think
yeah,
it's a
go ahead.
pretty common topic actually. Because yes, I agree in the sense that EOS seems like great tech, but the traction is not there for some reason or another. Even their solutions seem to just be creating they you know how they made basically they created like their own I forgot the name of it. You know, the the shoot, I forgot the name. It's basically it's like you can bridge to the Ethereum version of EOS and stuff like that. And they've been working on that. And
EVM.
yeah, EVM. Sorry, yeah. So they've been
Yeah.
working on the EVM, but it feels kind of like, you know, they're kind of not really focused anymore on actual EOS, right? So yeah, that's so if that's the case, I think going back to what you mentioned about Solana, from what I remember, when the first bridge for Binance Smart Chain was first announced, it was the main, like, I guess you could say, competitor to Ethereum, right? Solana didn't even exist. Um, so I guess I think it would be a good idea to expand to other chains where there's a lot of traction. And I think with Solana in particular, only because I've been mining on the Nusana text grid, I noticed that there are other, you know, like I think it's called DeepIn, decentralized something infrastructure.
Physical infrastructure. So deep in. Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's a big movement.
yeah, I feel like it could really be great to integrate effect network of all the various products there, because this Whisper integration, I think, is something that I don't think anyone else is really offering. Uh, Having human workers correct things, like people are offering, like, because I know Sana recently made a proposal to render, and I'm not too sure on the goals there, but in both cases, like render is also another like GPU compute provider, but there's no there as far as I know, there's no workforce provider. So I think there's definitely a lot of uh, I guess opportunities if there's a bridge between EOS and Solana. But it does seem like if there's gonna have to be a bridge, it's gonna have to be built by you guys.
Yeah, no, that's true. There's a lot a lot of projects like Render is on Solana, which is quite big, and they're also processing loads of data that you can definitely see how data providers would fit in. They also have a cool proposal system indeed that we could potentially do a proposal for. And then there's Hive Mapper, Helium, and a lot of these projects migrated even quite recently to Solana. So it's not a strange move to
Do you know
migrate.
why they migrated?
And following this hype does help when it comes to partnerships and when it comes to branding the product, because it creates more sense, like there's just more stuff happening. And I do it to iterate that technically, it's not a requirement. This would purely be for an ecosystem or like the DeFi ecosystem or partnerships in general. That would be way better there, potentially.
I know if the Binance Smart
And when it
Chain
comes to bridging,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that we also integrated the Binance Smart Chain for workers to use like their Binance will use their MetaMask wallet, but there are limitations that kind of like made security like a bit scary for some people. I wonder if would Solana allow like different options for things like that, or is it like still similar?
I think like you're talking about the worker experience, right? On Solana.
Yeah, like when you create your MetaMask, you have to like sign this like basically like it says like that any art like your when you complete when you want to complete tasks when you want to submit a task, you have to sign this transaction that basically says it can do whatever, right? And that's why it's recommended to have burner wallets. But I was wondering if Solana has features that Binance Smart Chain doesn't, that would kind of allow that to not be necessary.
No, that's no, Solana doesn't have it. I think in the end that system didn't work out well with MetaMask signing for workers because the that path was just insecure and the wallet support. For example, for MetaMask, the wallets on Solana I don't think are any better than the ones on
Okay.
Ethereum. So that won't be a better experience. Like on a technical level, there's I think a few ways we could do this. We could either have a base on EOS and provide like a sort of second layer of interactions. And the alternative is that we basically create two work marketplaces, one on EOS and one on Solana, or just go with one on Solana, which is also an option. But we just sort of mimic the same workplace, migrate the smart contracts over, which would obviously be a bit of a longer undertaking.
I feel like it would
Um,
be tricky though, because I know on the test grid, I watched the wallet, and it seems like you have to pay a little bit of Solana each time you get paid, like the half a nos. And it's like it stacks up, because I know like you had to top off the Solana. So I wonder if this is really scalable for the workforce, because I mean, if someone has to pay like a substantial amount every transaction, it doesn't seem like it'll be really that transferable.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Solana has many transactions going on, so the fees are rising a little bit. Like their EOS is because it's not being used, it's right now really cheap. Um, cheaper than Solana, I think, or at least I think it's cheaper than Solana when it's not as EOS is not being used. Like when there's usage more, the price would go a bit up. But so the architecture of the network would have to adapt. And I think there's a few architectures that would work on a chain like that. For example, we could work more with either a peer-to-peer connection between requester and worker to create sort of a direct channel, or by using smart batching. But I think it's technically feasible to do a high volume traffic on that. If you look at, for example, what Hive Mapper is doing transaction wise, it's really high volume.
It's true.
Helium as well, and they're doing it on Solana as well. So it's affordable, and if we set up a smart architecture around it, then I think it's definitely also scalable to data sets that we're doing.
Hmm. Such a thing, though, will probably be a big revamp, right?
It would be a big revamp. This would be sort of, I think, like we would have to put this in sort of a roadmap going into the future. I think there's more elements that would fit in there. Like I think we need updates to our tokenomics in a few places to make
Like-
things more better
Like what?
at some point. So first, I think if we would benefit from a model where I was reading in the last 2 weeks, I was doing research, a lot of tokenomic models for potentially for effect. And I was reading our white paper, and there's this part about, of course, the Galaxy pool and Galaxy EFX. I think that system just makes still a lot of sense because right now you pay directly for workers in EFX, which means that for workers, it's kind of, for neither parties, that's a great deal because of the price fluctuations of EFX. And I was studying, for example, Helium and how they set up the tokenomics, and I think Render also is also adopting the same model where they have a burn and mint equilibrium, which looks very similar to what the Galaxy pool is doing, where you basically burn tokens in order to use the platform. So you would burn, for example, EFX, and then you would get like data points or maybe worker seconds or something that you can use to create data sets. And later on, workers could use these tokens to sort of mint back EFX in a sort of in an equilibrium way. But by putting these things, you create a stabilizer using a model like this. It's just something I was thinking would fit really well into our current system, and it's something that it's proven to work well within Helium. Like this, they have created quite some. There's quite some articles published around it, and it matches almost exactly what the Galaxy pool was meant to do, and even on a functionality level, it's functions in a similar way. But it would be an update to the tokenomics in a sense. So I'm drafting out some ideas around this that I definitely need to share with everyone here.
Yeah, I'll need to
I
see
think these
this
things also need
written
to.
out to have like an actual opinion on it, because right now it's kind of hazy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all like, because I wanted to give you an example of what I was thinking about. I think it's too much to go into details. Second part, I think we need to reconsider also the EFX NFX equilibrium in a similar way, where NFX becomes more distinguishable to governance tokens, and EFX becomes the token for working, which that makes sense. But currently in practice, I think there's a big confusing factor for example, joining the DAO in these systems. And I think a V2 release would be an excellent opportunity to potentially update these mechanics. This would happen through DAO voting, of course. So these are just ideas that I have right now that I'm quite passionate about and like eager to write out and share. But I think all of that would go sort of hand in hand moving into the future.
Well, I think in regards
And it would benefit.
to what other DAO members have from my perception, they would probably want to prioritize getting traction first before changing like the whole tokenomics model. But so I guess, but I could see it being like, yeah, as you said, like it's very complex. So this is something that will have to be written out. Like I'm not against it either. Like it's just it has to be a good idea, right? That's like my only requirement. Uh, so
Yeah, of course. And I agree with you about getting traction. I think our current priority is getting the updated platform out like as soon as possible. And this is the current priorities. And we're going to have data sets on there that are being generated. That's currently what we're working on, and that's what's going to come out. I think it's just like when that's done, we need to put our sights on what's next in the future of the network. I don't think we're going to see a massive adoption of our project of EFX with just putting out that. I think we need to create a broader scope and innovate this project so it fits the market really well. And the market is changing quickly. So I think we also need to be able to adapt to that and position our product in a way where we can collaborate with the right projects and we can, yeah, we like it fits like data sets and the tokenomics model and how you pay for your data. All of these items also need to make sense. And I feel that right now is a good moment to start thinking about these things and writing them down. Because what the programmers are working on now is just getting the updated platform live, right? So that's the priority. But of course, we need to think ahead and make sure that we're ready for the next steps as well. And V2 just makes a really great opportunity here to put all these elements into place and create a longer roadmap and prioritize that roadmap. So we're also realistic on what we can achieve, but there is more work to be done after releasing the updated platform. I think that's certain.
well, right. Like I, for instance, think we need to get some good I guess good examples put out. Like as you know, I've always been advocating working on that open empathic project. So even before we kind of want to have the grand vision, I think we definitely want to have examples to show off. I mean, the last real example we've had is like NeuroPepe, which was a long time ago, of helping build AI stuff with Effect Network.
Absolutely, yeah. We have to keep working on. So when this updated platform comes live, it like it will be used to create new data sets, and it's definitely important we get new data sets in there. Open emphatic is really cool. I know that like the introductions you've made for us with Leon, that those are really valuable as they're creating a lot of other data sets. Also, like I think they're working now on a data set for emotion detection, which is interesting. So yeah, I agree that that's definitely the priority. I do think it goes hand in hand. We have to release right now the platform, obviously, that works and start building data sets. But also looking further ahead, I think is also part of the process at the same time
Yeah, and then
in order to grow the project.
I know didn't know Sana get like a big grant like when it first started out from like the Solana.
Yeah, they did get a grant from I think Solana Foundation gave them a grant.
I wonder if Solana Foundation will grant, moving a whole system to Solana.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they currently, I think they're still handing out pretty good grants for things like that. So I've been trying to get a EOS grant for a while for doing something, but it's really hard. I don't think they're really handing them out. Sometimes you see a news article about them funding something, but I haven't been able to really get anything
Yeah, it seems
through with
like
them.
they're focused more on, I guess, trying to jumpstart the DeFi on EOS, and yeah, they don't seem very like, well, rather it's not like they're anti EFX, but rather they're just kind of neutral. Yeah. So, well, just on that topic, like, if there's like a grant, because like my main concern, with these upgrades would be like it's less time, actually doing what we want to do, and that's like build the data sets, right? Because it's just more work building something that we've already built, just on a different platform, right?
Absolutely, yeah. All of these things are a lot of work, and they're not directly important because currently what's directly important is releasing the platform that works and creating data sets. That's what directly important, and that's also what's fully the focus right now.
Like
So
for
all
me,
these other parts are more
for
discussions
for me,
for
the
now.
ideal would be that we prove ourselves by helping Leon, and a bridge to Solana would be nice because that will help us actually establish like a foot in the door, right? But then like at some point, like either Solana Foundation or just the traction itself becomes big enough that there's an actual demand to actually build everything on Solana as well, uh, that works in tangent with the EOS side, and so like basically don't start off going to Solana. Let's wait until like let's show us like let's try to communicate with all these Solana projects working on AI stuff until there's an actual demand, like uh like people like really want this project on the Solana, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like creating a demand is of course, yeah, that's it's the first step in this direction. So, and we have a product, and we need to. Well, we have a product that doesn't work really well now, which is a problem, right? So that's why first thing we have to bring out the working product that's going to support creating these data sets well, and showcase that with some really nice data sets. And that's definitely step one in the process.
Because from what I understand, that's how Nosana was able to do a really successful pivot, because it already had all the experience doing these jobs for the CPU, right? Like I remember prior to the GPU, it was working on some like DevOps stuff distributed.
True, yeah. So Nasana was doing CI/CD, which is indeed just DevOps. It's GitHub action pipelines. That's what they were doing before the pivot. Yeah. So it helps, right? And
Well, yeah. So we don't want to be
like
like
us, there's
we don't want to be like something like an ICO, right? Where just like these random people say they're gonna do something, right? We like you want to be like actually working project that wants to do something else, or well, in this case it won't be even something else, it would be just be expanding. uh but yeah, it seems like you're
but
bursting
I
with
think more than
ideas
any other project
after
out
your
there,
break.
Effect has this legitimate background where we have been 7 years we've been building a product. We've had many releases. We have had many markets that we address. There's so many tasks done. I think that's the strongest point, or like one of the really strong things that we have more than anyone else, is that we have had so many different iterations and versions of the product. We have had like the data that we can show of the number of annotations done for different clients is like it's really huge. So that credibility is real, and we have that. So bundling that and being and telling that story, I think, is a very powerful way to get attention and to get people to take it seriously, because we didn't just arrive. And like the fact that we haven't had the massive traction that you would need to call a project successful, I think is it also has to do with many factors, right? Like the market keeps moving, especially this market. Like 7 years ago, what people were doing in artificial intelligence and on data is completely different than even like happening than the landscapes 2 years ago, right? And even 1 year ago, everything changed again. So being able to pivot and adapt to the current market, I think is something we should also really embrace, and we should use our past as a powerful tool there to show that we're not just coming around. We've been here, and we have a lot of experience. We have a lot of things already built, and I think that's one of the stronger points right now for us. Like we've done millions of data annotations, which is like it's really significant.
One thing that'll be important to think about, as we further expand the V2 and build that out is, the stable worker payments. We ran into this problem when there was, I think, a 15-cent change in the token price back when we had tasks on the platform. It had changed, and there were some batches of tasks that had a certain EFX payout. And then when the price changed significantly, the main listing of the campaign on the website, there was another batch added that paid like a significant difference, and that was just because of the current price on the market. But then when a worker went into that campaign, they thought they were getting a whole bunch because they see the most recent batch's price. There were still previous batches that had the lower price in there. And then they would get in and complete tasks, and they're like, hey, I'm not getting paid this amount. It says this on the campaign page, but my task is only paying, a smaller amount. What is it? And we figured out, that problem. And it just goes to show the volatility in price can really affect workers. And it was a big deal. And, that needs fixed.
Yeah, it's a good example. I think this is one of the like all these things we learned. I think we need to take them into consideration, right? I think this is, for example, what a burn and mint type model would solve, or like a galaxy pool was supposed to solve. And I agree with DJ that it's not something we have to focus on right now because it's lower on the list of priorities. We first need the basics
Exactly.
there. But
Yeah.
being able to write this down in like a white paper and encapsulate it under V2, and like it would improve communication, but also like we thought about these things, and I think taking learnings and architecting solutions for these essential issues that will pop up the moment we get a big data set on the platform again, which will happen soon. And then we know we will hit the issue. So being able to architect it in, I think yeah, helps. So we know what to do. We know we're ready, and we know kind of how we could solve that on the architecture level. These are things we can learn from the past already.
Yeah, I guess you'll have to draft it all out so we can further review it.
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to do that. Like I think the best way forward would be to create a draft like V2 white paper with all these elements in there, and also release a roadmap of like what's currently happening. Like the current roadmap is kind of short because we're bringing out
Well, it's not
this
even
updated
technically
platform.
a roadmap, as Rochelle likes to say. So
Oh, it's not a roadmap, no. We don't use the word.
The not roadmap. Roadmap.
It's a
The
not
not
roadmap.
yeah.
I'm like, why are you saying roadmap? You quit using roadmap too.
Exactly. Yeah, I was expecting one. No more roadmaps. It's like, but yeah, no, more like the plan.
Yeah, the plan. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it will be nice to have. Well, for starters, it will be good to just have a white paper, because the other one, the one you're reading, the Galaxy Pool one, that's like, as you said, like it's what, 7 years old now.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
Very outdated.
So it'll be good to have a modern one, updated. Um, and yeah, it will be good to have like goals. Like I think that's what the last, I guess, plan in quotes was. It was to having goals of what we'd like to see. Um, but I guess what you're suggesting is a lot more grand, because it's not going to be just functional goals. It's gonna be like, should we expand outside the EOS ecosystem in a superior way to what was attempted with Binance Smart Chain? But I think the DAO, generally speaking,
Yeah.
I think the DAO would be absolutely fine with expanding to new chains, especially popular ones like Solana. The only concern would be we don't necessarily want to, I think I already said this, to hunker down, build, like rebuilding it for like another time. Like, I mean, you built, as you said, you mentioned, you rebuilt the network a lot of times, but we don't want to always be rebuilding it, right?
Well, I mean, looking back at our white paper we have, it was completely built and tailored to Neo and Neo only. And look how long, the network was on Neo. And you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into everything depending on one blockchain. When you write, the fundamentals of the project. I think that was a big misstep.
Yeah. Both is right. So we don't, yeah, we have to stay open to what's best for the network moving forward. But also, I think right now, I'm absolutely in DJ's camp as well. It's clear that the next step is to create some data sets with a working platform and show that we can do it and show the promise of growth. Um, so I think that's step one. But also at the same time, looking ahead and this discussion, I honestly don't feel like migrating the platform at all. So for me personally, it's not something, like I said, technically, I don't think there's going to be a better place right now than EOS. But technical is only one part. And looking at the health of the project, I think we should definitely consider expanding, migrating, or just having sort of two things out there. But like, I think these are things we should discuss. Maybe these are not the places to discuss them. Maybe the DAO call should be a bit more focused on DAO stuff, but also I guess there's not too many topics now to talk
No,
about.
no, I
So I
think
like to just
these are the perfect topics for the DAO call. Don't worry. Uh, this is where the grand visions are brainstormed.
right, cool. Yeah, I like that. So, but like we are first releasing this platform on EOS, and that's going to be like, and even if there would ever be a migration or a rebuild, that's just an opportunity to improve things. But right now we're not in a state to improve something because it's like or we are improving something already. We need to get that out. We need to get
Yeah.
big data sets created. So that's now the like on the planning, right? Anything else is more like just discussing and writing it down. And because the landscapes are like changing so quick, both in cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence. And we are on paper the perfect project to fill holes and to adapt to those to where the market is going. And it's not 100% clear yet what and how that is. So I think we should stay open and ready to discuss making the right decisions when we can.
Right. I think
But
in
for
general,
delivery wise, now it's just
I
yeah.
think
Go
in
ahead.
general we should like. I think in regards to how useful things would be, I think it's definitely be incredibly useful to expand like requester capability outside of EOS, just like how requesters can purchase tasks on Binance Smart Chain if they can purchase using, because that's like the issue. Like if for people to buy tasks, they need to get the EFX, right? That's the current model. And so that becomes really tricky
Yeah.
if you're on Solana and you're like a Solana loyalist, right? You only like Solana. You don't want all these. You don't want to go for centralized exchanges or all sorts of weird bridges, just to pay for some tasks. But if you could just do it if you're a Solana, then that would be much better. So like that type of improvement, I think, will be pretty quick to pay off. But then like the worker side, like in some ways, making a EOS account is kind of like the entrance exam for becoming an effect worker. Like you gotta be able to do that at least, because that's like anti-botting in a way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Exactly. That's. I think these things are really important. Soon as there's stuff happening on the platform, we're gonna run into these issues, like people that want to buy tasks. How are they gonna get EFX? If you say go to Defibox, they're gonna be like, huh, and it's just a massive hurdle to have to jump into something that's not very um, commonly used, or like it's kind of an exotic exchange, Defibox. Like it's not even on Coinmarketcap or anywhere. Like it's kind of exotic in that sense, and it's just a hurdle for people to come on board.
Well, EOS
And we might be
itself
able
is
to
exotic.
abstract things away, but it's also sorry.
Well, EOS itself is exotic. Like they already like are skeptical when you do EOS, and then like on top of that, you gotta get even more exotic with a DeFi exchange on EOS. Yeah.
Yeah, we once tried to integrate PayPal along the lines like abstracting away, but we noticed that there is a massive difficulty there too. Um, Going with with the movement of markets and excitement, like that just increases the fiat on ramping, off ramping, and like there's less friction if you're in an ecosystem where people are using a lot of those services. So I think we at some point will like we might be able to abstract away a lot by allowing people to maybe use something like MoonPay to buy EOS and automatically swapping that for EFX and putting that to tasks. Like there might be some architectures we can try, right? And definitely should consider.
Yeah, the only
But
problem is depending on a third party bridge, they can sometimes raise the fees on you. Like as we've seen with the
yeah,
Binance bridge. Oh, by the way, Jesse, do you have to
yeah,
go
true.
soon?
And no, I don't. I have a bit longer.
Okay, because
No
I did
worries.
want to talk about like some DAO specific things. Uh, like
Yeah,
real quick.
yeah. Let's do it.
Uh, the there are some proposals have not been completed because they haven't been executed. We still need to like. Do you remember in the Discord I noticed that some proposals were not executed yet because we didn't do the
146 and 147.
yeah, we need the what's it called, the collection of things that need to be executed in the transaction.
Yeah, exactly
The
right.
ATP, the
I have
ATP.
it here. The ATP. Yeah,
And
cool.
on
I'll take
top
a
of
look. Yeah, sorry,
and
that
on top
slipped.
of that, if you can write a guide on how to draft one, so I can also learn how to do it, and anyone else who's a member of the DAO.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's not too hard, but it's a bit tricky. We can see it already it went like wrong a few times. Either the expiration times or like there's a few subtleties. But I'll write a to do it properly a little while to do it because I know there's one of them. I think by David that's expired. Like that, there's a risk of expiring these transactions too soon.
Yeah, I think that was the one that tried to create the example of swapping EOS on Defibox. But yeah, like I guess ATPs can fail, and I guess if they fail, that they fail, and they just need to be revoted on. But if they expire, we just need to remake it so they pass. Aside from that, going on the DAO proposal that just passed, and Alan also told me that he intended to vote no, but he was kind of struggling with Ledger firmware updates, and so he kind of just quickly voted yes, but felt it was unnecessary to change his vote. So it's unanimous that we don't want to continue the or rather to pause the farm for the Binance Smart Chain Pancakeswap pool.
Yeah, interesting, right? I'm having. Oh yeah, no, it's working. I had some issues before with loading the DAO because of the RPC, but I see. Yeah, all right. That's okay. So it's unanimous. That's interesting. Yeah.
So I guess we don't have
Um.
to do anything because it's just we don't renew it like we usually do until we decide it's a good time to renew.
Yeah,
I
nothing to touch there.
I know you were talking with the Defibox crew, but I think something like that, like something stopped. But I feel like it could be useful to have Defibox like do the rewards again, but also it's not like for now. I think it's better just to not do the Pancakeswap farm because we were getting only like 25,000 in liquidity. So I didn't think it was worth
Yeah.
the big amounts of EFX because I felt it was a lot more a while ago, but I don't have like the actual numbers on it.
Yeah. True. Um. Yeah. No, for me, it's like yeah, we're not gaining too much. Like PancakeSwap, it's only benefit was since we got delisted on KuCoin. There's been like it's just hard to get EFX, but PancakeSwap isn't really a nice. The bridge is very inconvenient right now because of the changes made,
Yeah,
and it's just really expensive to use.
not only is the bridge inconvenient, there are these bots that are that they always front run you. So no matter what, you're always gonna pay like a 10-20% like a fee on whatever EFX you buy because they always like just like make a transaction to the miner extract the value. They'll make a transaction to buy it right before you do, and it's really annoying. So the obscurity of Defibox makes an advantage in that case because there's none of that bot stuff. At least
Yeah,
doing MEV stuff.
and I don't think EOS has MEV. I was just reading in the EOS Dev Telegram. They had a discussion about it like last week or something. That there is no, I don't think there is MEV on EOS because of the resource model and the. I guess only validators like the block producers could potentially do MEV, maybe, but I don't think. I
Well, that's
think
good.
at least it's not a thing.
Yeah, it's
It's
good they
hard and it's
confirmed
not a
it
thing right
because I
now.
know we speculated in theory it shouldn't be possible in the DAO call a while ago. But it's good that
Yeah, it got
they
confirmed on
confirmed it.
Telegram there. Yeah.
It's just Defibox. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
that's nice.
Maybe it's for some reason they're just this thing, whatever this barrier is. Like it's just this barrier we can't see that prevents them from showing up on Coinmarketcap. Like I don't know why, but like it's just something that never was done is done. Like they say they're working on it, but it's still not done, right? So that's the main issue with Defibox. Aside, from not being open
Yeah,
source as you mentioned.
they're invisible indeed. And I was trying to figure out why they're not open source. And then I read this discussion that they received a grant from the ENF, from the EOS Network Foundation, to build out their product more. And part of it was that it should be open source. And then they never became open source. I think they handed the ENF could inspect their source code once, and they said sort of, I'm maybe speculating a bit here, but like that's what I read in the history, and that they said like, all right, maybe don't make it open source because it's like there's a lot of TVL in there, and we don't want to risk anything. Which makes me a bit worried. Like I think that's
Right.
the opposite of trustworthy and what I feel like it's against my values for sure. I think everything should be open source, especially if you get paid for it. You should make things open source and make it audited and especially as they're updating that contract sometimes. So I'm just not happy with the lack of transparency in their system. Also, they're not on Coinmarketcap, which is or on CoinGecko or on any other thing, which makes it really like we will sort of our token sort of disappeared from
Well,
most
yeah,
of these dashboards.
on CoinGecko, even Pancakeswap isn't listed, so it's only like this really obscure Indian exchange that's left, I think.
Yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, so these are definitely big sort of
So,
pain points.
so you
Like I
mentioned,
feel like we should increase Defibox right now because it's what we have, but I do have a lot of pain points around it that are annoying. But
well, yeah, I agree in the sense that you shouldn't like we can't make Defibox like the only thing we have, for sure. Um, you mentioned, did you were said you were looking at exchanges, right?
yeah, I've been trying to get in touch with exchanges and just polling and seeing what's going on, but our token looks very right now unattractive. Um, being on EOS is one major point there as well. But basically, they're for them it's they don't see interest. They don't express any interest in listing EFX, or they would request like insane amounts of fees for it. So that part is not looking very great right now, and I think it's a very hard one to overcome in the current ecosystem we're in. So that was one of the factors I was mentioning earlier as well.
Yeah, I think we need to get traction, and delivering data sets is going to be a good way to do it. And then hopefully, as Nosana goes along improving its system, if that can help, improve its Whisper results, that would be great too. That would be another way to get traction, to kind of like show off actually like what the benefits are of using a human workforce in tangent with, or combined with AI.
Yeah, and even then there might still be troubles because they like an exchange does not like consider Defibox in their like they would look at volume for traction and they would not consider Defibox
Well,
much
yeah, this is
there.
like
So I think it's a troublesome
it's like the
thing
classic
still, but
problem
definitely yeah.
where like to get a job you need job experience, but you can only get job experience if you have a job. Yeah, it's kind of annoying that
Yeah, exactly. It's a
KuCoin
tricky one.
delisted us. But yeah, well, it won't hurt having, projects to point to data sets, right? And it's something like we can always say like, well, look at this, we did this. Like cuz the millions of other data you talked about, that was a while ago, right? Like years ago.
Yeah, that was mainly like in the last year. There's not been massive numbers, but the years before that, we've had like way bigger numbers. I think the story still adds up in that regard. Like it's all valuable data to share in a pitch, basically to show traction and to also explain reasons for pivoting and making design decisions. So, but it indeed like it was a few years ago that we did like our peak of tasks on the platform.
On the
I mean, but look how quick tech can change, Back when we were doing all those subtitle captioning for like Linus Tech Tips, That was before Whisper was around. That was before the big GPT, you know, growth and stuff. And then now, look what GPT replaced, but in a large part. However, it's still not perfect. So it just shows how quickly things can change.
Um,
I don't think AI can retrain itself using AI though. I think humans are always needed.
well, I think there is a paper written that it's because AI is not perfect, or rather, if it's like 95% accurate, and you train an AI on that 95%, and then you train on that, it's like it iteratively gets worse,
Yeah,
So, but at the same time, it just means if you instead of having humans build the whole data set yourself, you can just have the AI generate and then have humans verify it and just strict out the bad parts, which will save a
yeah.
lot. Though at the same time, I know Leon actually had its own scandal where like people found like some, I think it was Stanford researchers found like nasty stuff in some of their data sets because Leon just did like this big scrape of all images on the internet, and I think you can kind of if you think about it, if you scrape all images, maybe some really bad stuff's going to be on there, right? And you wouldn't necessarily want that in your models. So I think there's going to be a big push for I don't know if there's like a specific word for this, but data being proper, like not abusive imagery, not, I guess, like I know with text models they do everything they can to make sure there's like no racial slurs and stuff like that, things like that.
But then there's always one human that will mislabel something. No, I'm kidding. But yeah,
But yeah, these are real problems right now that we are solving, and these are very new problems. That training AI on generated data by AI is not a good idea. It creates this echo chamber that really increases hallucinations and bad performance. So that's one, and the second is that just training AI on bad data, even if it's scraped or like just it really decreases performance. So these models are now getting huge, like GPT-4 size models are really getting big, which makes them really hard to run and maintain. But if you have really good data, you can put like the same sort of intelligence in way smaller models, which is like if we can provide handcrafted, proven human quality data, then there's massive value in that because it's just way more useful than having a massive scraped data set, which makes models hallucinate and makes basically the intelligence way more sparse across the model.
Well, scraping has worked very well. It's just there are limits to it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the scraping is great for creating like base models, but to be able to create smaller size models and fine tuning on like really high quality data is things that are um, really beneficial now for creating, for example, better performing smaller sized models. For the bigger size, the base layer big size models, then I think it's a different, like human crafted quality data is just going to be like not on the right scale, but for like fine tuning and the smaller data sets to make specialized models, like that, I think that's the niche where we could really fit.
Oh yeah, that's definitely our niche because I mean we can only assume, like I think already they're seeing that they're projecting that the majority of internet content is going to be artificial intelligence, right? The the first models had the advantage where the internet was all human, or mostly human generated, right? But now that's going to be changing, and then that reduces the usefulness of this generated information, and so the human high quality human crafted data, I think, is going to only increase in value. So I think in that sense we're kind of like basically focus on this, and if AI gets so good they don't need people, I mean, we've already reached the singularity and we get the Star Trek future, so that's win-win for me.
Yeah, and at that point, I think still proven human data will be like extremely valuable, because the human element, like if the human element loses its value, then yeah, it's too late. We're like, then the world has, and it might come at some point, right? In all seriousness, like, yeah, we might come at a point where humans are obsolete, but that's really future thinking. The world will be a completely different place then. We cannot even imagine. So yeah, until then, we like I would say that effect is able to provide the most valuable resource on Earth, which is great human crafted data.
A side note, so the people you're hiring, will they be able to join the discords and DAO calls?
I definitely hope so. Yeah, I think so. Um, there is a new engineer going to start next week. His name is Ukpono, and I hope he will be joining here. I will definitely invite him, and definitely he will be active as a developer in Discord, in GitHub, and more on the data science, like creating templates, maintaining campaigns, fixing issues, bugs, like more on that skill, because we're lacking people there. So yeah, and then we do have a few other developers we're talking with, and one of them probably can also start pretty soon. So they will be for sure in Discord and handling tickets on GitHub and making commits. And I will also encourage them to be here, especially for an introduction, and hopefully also for just the future.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, cannot really force them to become DAO members, I guess. But I'm guessing they're, if you give them some time, they will grow into it. And yeah, I'm definitely hopeful that that will happen. Um, yeah, will also be great if we could source some DAO members to contribute more code when we have more like a more like clear sort of tickets available, which I also am think we can get to pretty soon. Like I know Miguel is pretty capable as a developer, and we have some other people that could potentially pick up some tickets. So that would also be really nice to see happening once we get some traction. I think people really want to see now the platform out there and things rolling forward, because it's been taking a lot of time, way more than we expected. So yeah, once that things start rolling, I think we're going to see more engagement from both sides.
Yeah, I'm glad to have the reinforcements.
Of course, it's happening. It's taking a long time. It's hard putting dates on things, and it's taking way longer than it should, but it's happening. It's happening, even though it took longer than we wanted. But like things are really falling into place now, and we keep saying it, but of course, our main mission right now is to get that platform out, creating data sets, and also having a bright future for the whole project. Writing it down and getting everyone on board working on that is it's coming. We have Lawrence back, which is I'm also really excited. He's been very much not so much involved lately, so he was here last time, and I'm excited to have him also here working on the architectural issues and more of the heavy duty like things that need to be built, because he's an excellent engineer and also just really good with insight, and of course he knows the project since the start. So yeah, thanks. I'm excited as well for this.
What about David? He's coming back, right? He just on a trip?
He's on a trip. Yeah, he was traveling for 2 months, which is right about now. I think in a few weeks he should be coming back. I haven't heard much from him. He said he would pop in from time to time, and that was his plan at least. But I guess he's having a good time and just enjoying his travels. So I don't have an update on behalf of him, but I hope to get in touch with him soon. And yeah, the plan is that he's just gonna get back to work.
So then I guess
somewhere.
Though I have a question. Those two engineers you've hired, are they gonna be split work like you are, or will they be focused on Effect Network?
So the one engineer that's gonna start next week, he will be focused on Effect Network. So yeah, I think he still is doing studies AI and data science 2 days a week, but then he has the rest of the week to work for Effect Network. Of course, it's gonna be on a trial, so I've seen a bit of his work, but of course he's gonna be new, and I mainly right now need the support on managing campaigns, getting the data set ready, fixing tickets in GitHub, and being also active in Discord to sort of guide issues that pop up during the V2 release. So that will be mainly the task there. But yeah, that will be focused on Effect Network.
Great, and I guess he could also focus on talking with Leon and things like that as well.
Yeah, that's the main thing. So like creating templates, supporting requesters and creating templates for requesters, validation of data sets. Like there's a lot of data science happening right now. Like for every requester, there's quite some to get the data in there and out there. And making the templates work well. Those are things that we really need to support with right now, and that's going to be one of the main tasks for the new developer to aid.
Real quick, because I'm running short on time because I have another appointment here. We made a tweet today reminding people about the KuCoin deadline. So I want us to be mindful of people that may be visiting the server, or the Telegram, who may have difficulties creating an EOS account, to move their funds to. The plan right now with the staffing, of course, is we're going to try to help where we can, but also eosupport.io is a great resource, and they have tech support there like 24/7. So we really need to leverage them too, and point some people into that direction as well, just so no one is just waiting on us to get back to them with creating wallet help and things. So please keep that in mind, and please retweet and share that, and hopefully we don't have a big influx after the deadline. We see it trickling in. I still see people coming in complaining about they can't touch their tokens on Neo. So
well,
everyone, please keep that in mind.
We gave them a lot more time than KuCoin, that's for sure.
Yes, but there are still people looking. So yeah, so if you guys can help me out with that, please, I'd appreciate it. Do we have anything else? If so, I'll let you guys continue. I've got to get off here. We're going on almost a half past schedule.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think,
I think it's a good time to close up. I don't know if there's any final remarks by DJ.
No, I think we've covered everything. I'm looking forward to since David is coming back, we'll be having. Well, actually, you mentioned, you said that the first individual would be working, but then the second would also be working on the Solana split work.
No. Fully dedicated for Effect, or they might have, like, I'm talking with some engineers. Some of them are either still studying part-time, like 1 or 2 days a week, and some of them might have like part-time jobs somewhere, but they would be dedicated X amount of days at least, or full-time. for effect.
I see. So you're
These
basically
will not.
you're trialing them both and then seeing how it goes.
Well, yeah, I have good hopes that the person starting next week will be involved for a longer time, and then I am looking for another engineer, which hopefully is a full-time one, but not someone like working on another crypto project, more like either student or a data scientist that might have a freelance job on the side or something. Those are the profiles I'm currently looking for, as we have Lawrence and myself to do more of the senior heavy lifting architecture job. So I want people right now helping out with setting up campaigns, setting up templates, doing the data science around it. Those are priorities that we really need, setting up these the campaigns for V2. And then it's kind of a lot of work, but it's yeah, that's why that profile matches well. If we have two people working on that, I think we can cover like the required volume of data sets for V2.
All right, sounds great.
Cool. All right.
So yeah, it was a great DAO call. Glad to brainstorm with you, Jesse. So and I'm looking forward to reading up more on your various ideas on V2, I guess long term. And I guess we can call it the DAO call for now and pick up again next one.
Yeah, likewise. Great chatting, and yeah, good DAO call.
Yeah,
Thanks,
good one,
guys.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Till next time.